Hey guys, this is Sam's Geek, and today I'm going to make a video about what I think about E3. What I thought about the conferences, what I think about everything. Because if anyone who's ever been to E3 tells you, all the news is on the floor. The conferences don't mean anything. So, what do I think of what happened at E3? I'll start off with Sony. Sony did an impressive job. I thought they obviously had the best conference. But a lot of their promises were shallow, and it made me question the future. As you knew, earlier this year we had the PS4 reveal, and we saw all this stuff about the PSI camera and how amazing the PlayStation Eye camera was, and it seems like Sony's throwing away that peripheral before we even get it. Now, if you didn't know, in order to make their system $100 cheaper than the Xbox One, they had to cut the camera out of the system. Now that makes me think, how many games have been affected by this? As you know, game development is an extremely long process and takes years and years and years and years. And now we have a system that was going to have a camera bundled in with it, no longer having a camera bundled in with it. What does this mean for a lot of games that have already been developed? And what does it mean for games that are going to obviously utilize Kinect? Now, will they skimp out on Move support? Oh, I mean, not Move support, the eye camera support or not? Like, it's going to be a very big issue. And people have overlooked this just because of the price point. But Sony intentionally cut that out of their system because it's a $79 add-on. And if it was bundled with the system, it'd probably be about $500, just like the Xbox One is. So Sony cut that out of their system. How is that going to affect the market of games that are going to be available? With Kinect being bundled in with the Xbox One, a lot of companies are going to be utilizing it. And if they want similar features on the PS4, they're going to have to use that eye camera. And it's going to be a question of how many people are actually going to pick up the eye camera now that it's not bundled in with the console. It's going to be a big issue, and people don't understand this. But they also don't understand that the no DRM issue is also going to be a potential, really disastrous issue. Microsoft has DRM on their system, very effective DRM. That means, and it's system-wide. So it means it's going to be very difficult for people to pirate their games, and it's going to be very difficult for the used game market to really have an effect on Xbox One. It's still going to exist. But license transfers and all that, it's going to be weird. So, this means that used games are pretty much going to be non-existent on the Xbox One, which means it's a much more developer and publisher-friendly console. Now, I know what you're saying, this is all anti-consumer and all that, but let me give you some perspective here. Publishers, developers, and Microsoft don't care if you can't buy used games. They don't. They absolutely don't. No one cares because they don't make any money. They lose money. That's what they care about. They're losing money every time you purchase a used game. And I think that there's going to be a lot of potential for Sony to have Microsoft Sony them. In case you didn't know, because Nintendo was so reluctant and they mistreated publishers. They didn't care what publishers thought. Every idea that publishers came to Nintendo, they said, screw you, including cartridges over CDs. In the long run, this killed Nintendo's third-party support forever, pretty much. And even with the GameCube, they didn't remedy that because the GameCube used different discs, and they're still not remedying that because Wii and Wii U use proprietary discs. So it killed them in the long run, and it's still killing them today. I mean, look how little third-party support there was for Nintendo. It was ridiculous. And you might have the same situation on the PS4. Because what people don't understand is that if you sell significantly less on Xbox One, like even half, it won't matter because the publishers and developers have made back all their money through DRM. So it doesn't matter how much smaller the portion is on the Xbox One sales as opposed to the PlayStation 4 sales because they've made more money. And, you know, over time it's going to even be making more and more money because people will still continue to buy these games later on. Whereas with PS4, once there's a used game market, those used games get sold back millions and millions of times And if you don't think so, you should ask how many. You should see how many times I've seen my old games back on shelves, removed from shelves, back on shelves, removed from shelves from GameStop. They stay around a long time, and they get sold and resold a lot. This is something that really happens to these games. And you can ask people like Heavy Rain's producer. He complained about it. And used games are just going to become more and more of an issue as time goes on. So Microsoft has really future-proofed their console here, whereas Sony has really not. And it's going to have a really big outcome on how publishers treat the system in the future. I mean, it's going to be interesting. Later in the generation, we're going to probably see a dramatic shift to focusing on Xbox One, where Xbox One's probably going to see a lot more DLC and incentives to purchase the Xbox One version. I see this coming really quickly because, it's going to be a huge issue. And now that we've been talking about Microsoft's DRM, I might as well go to Microsoft. Microsoft had an interesting showing at E3 because they alienated a lot of customers in more ways than one. Not just with the DRM stuff, but with the 360 stuff. The 360 is still being supported, and it's going to be supported for a long time, and it's still getting exclusive stuff. So, it makes me wonder, why should I buy an Xbox One? Titanfall is going to be available for the 360. A lot of these big exclusives and a lot of their in-house stuff, even stuff like Loco Cycle, is going to be available for the 360. So why would I go out of my way and pay $500 for an Xbox One when the Xbox 360 is sitting right here on my shelf and will be available? This is one of the reasons why I pre-ordered the PS4 over the Xbox One. A lot of the games that I want and are interested in are going to be multi-platform with Xbox 360. So why bother buying an Xbox One? I can wait. And then when I get my $500, I'll then buy an Xbox One. I see no reason right now to not save that $500, buy 360, Wii U, and PS4 games, and then next year when I save up $500, then purchase that Xbox One and get some of those exclusive games I missed out on. That's just how I see it. And there's also, but what's interesting is that Microsoft had the most games and the most exclusives. And I find it ironic that a lot of these people who were big PlayStation 3 fanboys and were touting how they had the most exclusives and they had the most games were now hating on the Xbox One, although Xbox One has the most exclusives and most games. And this is what I mean. We're already seeing this publisher effect in motion. A lot of publishers are already choosing Microsoft's platform over Sony's. And I expect more and more and more of this in the future. And that could be very concerning. I mean, really concerning, especially for those of you who want to use the PlayStation 4 as your main console. As for Nintendo, I'm both excited and really disappointed at their conference. I saw a lot of games I want, and a lot of great games I want, but we still didn't see any third party. Third party is almost dead on the Wii U on arrival. And I don't think even the system selling more is going to help it. I mean, the Wii was the most sold system last gen, and we got barely any ports. I don't know what to say. I really am excited a lot about a lot of these games, but they're not coming till 2014. And they've got Pikmin and very few others. I still think I'm going to stick to the Wii U diet in the sense that I'm going to buy third-party games on Wii U because I really want to support them. I think Nintendo has a very interesting console, and I really want them to continue. And I've been actually buying a lot of these deals on the Nintendo eShop because I think that's a good idea, but they still need to improve the system. The system still stinks. It's still a really awful choice if you want to have a main console. And there still needs to be more virtual console updates. Nintendo still needs to implement a real account system for the Wii U. If my Wii U breaks, I'll lose tons of games. And that sucks. Come on, Nintendo. Improve Nintendo Network, please. Please. And please get more third-party support. I don't know. Nintendo, but Donkey Kong was awesome. I can't wait for that game. Mario Kart 8 was awesome. Can't wait for that game. And Smash Brothers looked great too, and I can't wait for those games. Their first party lineup looked great, and I can only imagine how much better it's going to be since they're not focusing on a bunch of the casual games they were last gen. And I hope Mario Kart isn't just like it was on the Wii and really gimped. And I hope that since Nintendo's focusing on couch multiplayer, they made couch multiplayer just as fun as it was on Nintendo 64. Well, that's what I thought. I think overall, this has been the best E3 in years. Every single one of these big three companies did amazing, and all their consoles look like something you want to buy. They have great lineups, every single one, and show great supports in different ways, and they actually differ from each other. Microsoft looks like this big, huge publisher blockbuster machine. Sony has like these giant exclusive franchises, and they also have the indie support. Nintendo has their first party support. Consoles are actually consoles again. We're not having a situation like last gen where we had the 360 and the PS3, which was a diet 360, which had some exclusive games, but mostly it just tried to mirror the 360 as closely as possible. The Xbox One and the PS4 are clearly defined from each other and different, and have different genres and appeal to different markets. And I think that's great for the industry. And the Wii U is the same thing. It appeals to an entirely different demographic. There's no plainness going on here. One major concern, which I'm not a big fan of, I think third-party exclusives kind of suck. I really wish, all players got a chance to play these games. But other than that, I think it was a great showing, and obviously one of the best E3s in years. And I had some doubts because I was very doubtful about the industry earlier this year, and thinking about leaving it, and not really coming back, and only doing a video every now and then. But this E3 rocked. I want to see more of it.